Grand Rising, Grand Rising. I hope everyone is good. I know it's afternoon, but do you ever give yourself permission to sleep in? Like permission to just mosey around? Or are you always on a set schedule? You have to be careful because those set schedules and habits and patterns, it'll keep you from moving the way God wants you to move. I remember the first time I had a GPS system in my car, right? And my ex would always say, "Put it in your GPS, put it in your GPS," right? And I'm like, "No, I'm gonna do it this way." And he would be like, "But I don't understand why you're doing it that way." But at that time, I didn't. I stopped listening to anything while I was driving. It was just me and God. And so as I drove around for work in Texas and New Mexico, it was just me and God, right? It was me and God and the people. And a lot of times, I would ask God before I would go in a medical doctor's office to collect records, like, what do you need me to do in here today? Do you need me to talk to the office manager? Do I need to pray for the doctor? Am I praying for the nurse? You know what I'm saying? I think people forget that, like, we are human and people really need prayer, you know? Um, yeah, I quit that job like a year before COVID. Uh-uh. It was about 6 or 7 months before COVID. But that was one of them jobs that, oh, it taught me so much, y'all. I remember right before I quit, they had me over the whole state of Texas, except East Texas. I didn't have East that was connected to Arkansas because there were some providers on the Texarkana border of both states, and they would have somebody else do that. But I didn't understand until I left how much a leader I was. Yeah, I will never forget that day when I boxed all my stuff up and I put it in that box. That box sat there for 3 or 4 months. When people kept saying, "Hey, Jenny, you don't want the corner office with the two big old monitors," and I was like, "No, I'm not gonna be here. I'm fine with my laptop." And they was looking at me like, "What are you doing?" But at that time, they didn't know that I was already running a six-figure business. I was working too, though. Man, listen, the streams of income that I had, y'all wouldn't believe it. At one time, I was just living off residuals alone, just from stock plays, and I didn't even have a whole lot of money. But I'm gonna tell you something: when you get in tune with God, mm, mm, the doors He will open. And this is for somebody because you're tired, you feel like you done did what you're supposed to do, and you have, as long as you've been obedient. But now God is telling you to rest. And your rest season come out of nowhere. Like for real, I didn't realize that my whole season of being displaced, that was my rest season. But at the same time, I was working, but it was light work. So y'all, everybody else I was going to, I was praying. Oh God, spiritual warfare. Oh, I stayed in a spiritual bed. And because I take spiritual baths, I have little sachets for my 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 herbs. And but when you displace, you don't have all that stuff. You're not thinking about that. You thinking about food. Then you think about how you gonna get your kids, how y'all gonna eat, how am I gonna make it in this small space? You know what I'm saying? What about my business? This is the things that you ask God, and then God begins to show you. He begins to show you how you was on the potter's wheel all along, and you didn't even know. You didn't even know it. best thing I ever did was quit jobs. I'm telling you, my first job at Old Fee House at that restaurant when I was 14. Yeah, I worked at that place till I was like 18 years old. And then when I got 18, they would call me on call. And they'll be like, Janet, like, what's going on? We got a big party coming up. Okay, how long you need me? And I think at that time, y'all, I was getting paid like 5.50 an hour. And and I didn't get tips. I didn't get tips because I didn't go out and wait tables. I was, I don't know, y'all. I worked with a whole bunch of men, and they kept me in the back. They kept me in the back. It was like they was protective of me. It was weird. But y'all, they used to talk about the cashier so bad. Ooh, they used to talk about it. And I say, why y'all talk about that girl like that? They like, cause she out there bad. And that's when I learned how foul a man mouth can be. And they wouldn't. Let me get this correct. They wasn't calling them out of their name, but they was talking about what they was doing. You know what I'm saying? If for me, you know what I'm saying, I had a boyfriend or whatever, but I wasn't. I wasn't doing all that. I wasn't doing all that, and I sit back now and I think about the times when I did used to go to the club. Now I have never been a habitual clubber. If I go to the club this quarter, you're not gonna see me back again at that club until another quarter. For real. And most of the time, I would only go to the club if I was single. Hell, I never stayed single. I never fucking stayed single. As soon as I got out of one relationship, it was somebody else that wanted to talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Where they do that at, y'all? Where they do that at? It's some crazy shit go on this world. It's people friends that try to talk to you. Be like, what is going on? Y'all, I have been in some crazy situations. I have been in some very crazy situations. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm talking to some ladies out here. Don't be trusting your family around your man. Do not do it. That's all I can say is do not do it. Don't do it. I learned it early. I had a couple people I was just talking to. It was this guy named JD. Oh, listen. JD kept, and I didn't care about his money, but JD kept a pocket full of money, and JD kept the latest fucking Jordans, and everybody around him had on Jordans. You could tell that he was a boss back then. Okay, that's when I was 14. Yeah, somehow, how did I get in touch with JD? I think I was out. I think I was out at Shorty Smiles. I always kept a bartender friend. And I had this friend, he always did security at the club. Y'all heard of him? His name was Big Homie. Big Homie is about 6'5", 275, 300. Big Homie used to play football. And that motherfucker was, I think he was a defensive tackle. Ooh, when you ran up against him, you ran up against a brick fucking wall. And yeah, I was working there with Big Homie. And I had this boyfriend, I had this boyfriend named Darren. And I think when I was like 16, Darren started working there. So when Darren started working, where I was working at, him and Big Homie together, and they was friends, oh, I got to go. Because I was dating Darren first, and Big Homie was my friend first. You gotta understand this, okay? And so Big Homie just started liking this. By the time Darren started working at my job, I had already, we was already broken up. Yeah, we was already broken up. Years down the line, y'all, years. I'm talking 8 years. Me and Big Homie started talking. Ooh, it was a whole shit show.